Okay, does everyone see the whole?
Yeah.
Can you read it? Because I've got that thing in the way here and I don't know how to get rid of it.
Mixed media, tiny houses, excursion.
Right, okay.
Beautiful.
Um,
Wow.
okay, so these are a bunch of you. I wonder if Kathleen is coming here. She also brought something. Okay, so here we go. I tried to put one of everything up there. Howard, I put you first.
Oh, really? Okay. I think a bunch of people have already seen it. It's silverware holder, a wooden silverware holder. And the photograph, the long strip, the photograph in the back is actually of a weed, but I thought it looked like a tree and I made it different colors. And on the right, I did a tree house. In the center, that Molly gave me the suggestion, it's a bird's nest. And at the bottom's a seesaw. And there's a swing on the left one with a little gold chain and a swing. And the top is closed in with transparent something. And behind it are swinging clouds. And taped to it or glued to it are birds. A roseate goosebill on the right. Incredible looking bird.
That is so cool.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
I love that, Howard.
I love it.
Really? Thank you.
Where do you get the birds?
Huh?
Where did you get the birds?
Oh, I took the pictures. These are all things that,
Those are not three-dimensional birds?
no,
Oh.
but they're on, like I said, this transparency in front of that purplish thing. It's actually a purplish hanging cloud as it is next to it. And that bird I saw at Sanibel, there's a bird, whatever you call them, with some of the most beautiful birds. That's the real color. Yeah.
I like it a lot. I like the trees and how you have it different colors. It's pretty interesting. And the clouds and the top background especially.
It's just
Oh, yeah.
stunning.
It's
Really beautiful.
Right, I pasted all the clouds together. Yeah, it's great what you can do in Photoshop.
But it's three-dimensional too, like the swing and the nest.
Oh yeah, that's actually swinging. You can make that move. The seesaw, I think I finally had to glue it to keep it together. And you can climb up the ladder to the treehouse.
Would love to.
It's
I
wonderful.
want to live in the treehouse.
Yeah. So this is the kind of thing I like to do, is build things like this, do things like this. I'm still at stick figures when it comes to drawing. So this is good. I like this stuff.
Yeah, and I like how you put things in the trees, like the swing and with the gold, you mixed it up.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
All right.
I love the format. That, that you took that silverware drawer and something.
The format, you said, right?
Yeah, I have trouble hearing on top of everything else. The good news, I can sign up for a shot next week.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, good for you.
Why, what county are you in that you can do it?
I'm in
Yeah, where are you
DC, and the
in?
next 2 weeks are for people over 65, and I very much qualify.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah,
We're going to do it too, Howard.
yeah. So I'm signing up first thing Monday morning, trying to get an appointment.
I think DC has portals that
Yeah,
There's a portal where you can sign up and
Yeah.
you can go to the supermarket. I know someone who is a therapist, a psychologist, even though he has not treated a patient in person since this thing started, and he's hardly left his house, he still already got to get his shot in DC.
see, that's wrong.
Wow. I'll be right back.
okay.
Holy cow.
This is another one of Howard's.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this one is a bunch of matchboxes that I took from the Diplomat. It's real easy to go in and grab them. And I glued, how many is it? 24 of them together. And then those are all bits and pieces of black and white photographs that I took. And I think Marcy wanted to see it in color, but I like the
Did
black.
I? I'm sorry. I like it this way.
And people's faces are cut in half. And I personally, I like the way this one turned out.
Yeah.
It's a little strange, but
It looks like a black and white photograph.
it's
Yeah, it
many
does.
black and white photographs, yeah.
No, I mean, it looks like you.
Oh, it looks like one, yeah, but it's actually what, 1/4 of an inch, like a matchbox? Thick? Yeah, I can't wait till they open again so I can go in and steal some more matchboxes.
Well, anything, can you tell us anything about some of the people that are photographed or where you?
This guy here with the harmonica
Uh-huh.
and the eye behind, and he's down in the 3rd row. I met them at the Seattle Center because we lived there for a long time, and I engaged them. And you know, I don't know if they're homeless, whatever, but I would never take their picture without talking to them and asking. And I just thought they were fun looking, not their status in life.
Right.
So we talked, and I said, "Can I take your picture?" And then the guy with the eye and the nose, he was great. I took a dozen of him. He was doing all these poses for me with his leg like a rocket.
I like how you intersperse the marine suit. The angels that you put out there. I like how they fit into it.
Thank you. And that's all from that thing, second from the left on the second row, 3rd from the left. And somebody told me what that was.
Oh, that's right. I think I remember.
The Infanta of something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I found that card with that picture in a junk shop in Seattle.
Was it a Greek?
Our Lady of Fatima?
Yeah, it was
Mexico?
something from like Romania or something.
Was it Romania or Greek? I couldn't remember if it was.
I don't remember.
It definitely was a religious emblem or religious, what do you call it?
Icon.
Icon from
That came up. Yeah.
Eastern Europe or Greek or something. Greek Orthodox or Eastern European.
You know, it's just interesting how you cropped it in the different places.
Yeah.
You know, like nothing is uniform.
Bits and pieces of it all over.
In the Southwest, we call that a retablos.
A what?
Okay.
A retablos in the Southwest.
I think it would be, wouldn't it be a Santos? And retablos, I think, are flat.
No, well, I do have paintings of retablos, but I also have some figures.
Santos.
Are those called Santos?
Yeah.
I'd always call them.
I only know because my husband was at the Smithsonian. He collected them.
Uh-huh.
And they ended up in the Folklife Museum in New Mexico.
Oh.
That's the most place on the planet.
I can find the original.
Oh.
All those Jesus things are the guy with the harmonic and the beard. I think he is so good looking.
Uh-huh.
He is such a nice, kind looking man.
Those eyes.
Right. That's
Yeah,
So-
and look at the smile on him.
So the cherubs that you have
Uh-huh.
on there, if you ever get a chance to come to Bethesda,
I know where it is, yeah.
yeah, I know where it is. So near where I live on Cedar Lane, about a year ago, these cherub things suddenly appeared fixed onto the column supporting the Cedar Lane bridge. So 495, as it goes over Cedar Lane, there's a blue one on the right and a red one on the left. And I don't know if anybody else ever drives Cedar Lane going toward Wisconsin.
My son lives right
All
over
the
there.
time. Yeah.
So look at it sometime, and it's like they're very similar to these little cherubs.
Cool.
And
So if you're going up Wisconsin, you make a right on Cedar?
if you were going north on Wisconsin from DC, you would make a right on Cedar Lane, and then you would need to turn around at Beach Drive and look back to the west.
All right.
You would see them.
All right.
I'm gonna look.
And they're like cut out of styrofoam or something. And the blue one had been up, and then the red one had been there. It disappeared, and then suddenly it reappeared. And it's like, I have no idea. I mean, I've lived here for 25 years, and they suddenly appeared about a year or so ago. And I have no idea why or who put them on these columns on the bridge. Or the overpass, I guess I should say.
I used to teach right around the corner from there at Kensington Parkwood.
Oh, okay.
Yep. On Salt Road, yeah. But since I don't do the commute, I haven't seen these. But that's interesting.
Yeah, you got to come see them. They're right there. I see
right
them.
there.
Yep.
My son lives right around the corner from there.
Yeah. So because I walk. I mean, I live at the corner. I live in the neighborhood at the corner of Cedar and Rockville Pike, Wisconsin, right there at Stone Ridge. So, yeah. But the little cherubs just remind me of that. Yours are cuter than the ones that are hanging, but
do you think it has to do with the what is it, school, seminary, or?
No, I don't know.
Deaf?
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, like a tribute to someone that died, or if it's just some affiliation with something, or what. I mean, they just suddenly appeared.
All right, I'm gonna go to his next one.
Oh, really? Okay.
I love that.
That is so cool.
Wow.
This
I love
will be
that.
my last. This is a book, you can probably tell.
Right.
And the tree, I cut out the pages straight through almost to the back. And the thing at the top, I use little bits of eraser to bring it forward. So it comes out a bit in front of the book. It comes out about 4 inches from front of the book. And the people, and the fence, the stone fence is this dry clay that dries overnight.
Oh, cool.
It's great stuff. And the people come from, these are the ones you were thinking of, Marcia, romance postcards.
Right, okay.
They're probably from the 19-teens, because some of them were World War I. And these were people on one of the postcards. So that's what it is. And
That's cool.
I want to do more of all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's just like intimate the way you put them there.
What's that? I'm sorry?
It's like intimate, that the way you put them there, and it's not like in the center, it's low, and it's almost like a window in that we can see under the tree.
Howard, the trees are cut pages.
Yeah.
And then
Except for the tree, I cut way to the back, almost to the last page.
Oh, except for the tree.
Except for the tree, it's cut almost to the very back.
So what is the tree made out of?
The pages.
The pages. Then you painted.
I painted it, and then, like I said, at the top, I took little bits of eraser to bring each of those things forward a bit, so it sticks out in front of it. It becomes very three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I love the sense of depth that you got. I mean,
Yeah.
not only with the tree, but going way back into the landscape.
Yes.
Yeah, and all that's just flat. The people and the landscape, that's all flat.
Wow.
And Howard, what is the frame?
That's
you
the
use?
book, isn't it?
It's a book, yeah.
Oh.
What was the book?
Oh, God, I don't know. I think mostly when I ordered a bunch from eBay, they were all primers from like the 20s or something. So
Howard, was Did you just use an X-Acto knife, or what did you use?
I used a Stanley knife. X-Acto knife
Stanley.
would just take forever. You know, with the tree, I would use X-Acto, but on the right, to get back there,
The depth, the
the
deep.
X-Acto, as long as I got to be very careful, but
Mhm.
it goes way deeper. The Stanley.
Okay.
I think we saw this when you would cut it, but not any of the painted or color added.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So Marcy, is this something that you're going to go into with this cut it out theme?
Well, there's, yeah, cutting out layers, and I do like working with the altered books, and it's, you know, hearing from people things that they like, we can pursue that. And I have done some of the excavating of the books, you know, not just the board books, but just like a novel, like a regular book. So that is something that we can do. And I guess, Nan, in the class that you just had with me, it was the Smithsonian class, and we were doing some of that or altering the book.
Yeah.
So let me go to
This was
Howard.
like
I
a
guess that's all of yours.
6th grade history book. Oh, that is very
Yeah,
cool.
wow.
Is that Molly's?
This is me.
I knew.
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah,
One of
so
your best,
Molly,
Molly.
tell us about this house.
Well, the papers I made, I think just with bubble wrap,
Mhm.
and you can see they're kind of pasted together. The tree, it looks like there are various things I purchased at various places. There's some little pom-poms on the bottom, and that's just like from a sewing store. And it really seems to work to make it look like you've got some greenery around the bottom of something.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. It's just, oh, and then I love the corrugated roof thing.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
taking it off the box. That I think that's a lot of fun. And and occasionally I make smoke coming out of a chimney. That I think is a bottle, on top of a bottle, but not all the time. And I can see that, I'm not looking at the house, although I think it's upstairs here. I used old chains to, like on the sides, there are these little flower beds. And I used chains to kind of fence them in.
Molly, what's the surface?
This
What is the surface?
cardboard covered with paper mache, and then the paint is acrylic. And
Oh, it looks like it has texture though.
well, the texture, that's paper that I made by, it's kind of like a jelly plate, but I used bubble wrap with little bubbles.
Oh, that's what you're
And
talking
the
about.
roller. Yeah, and then I pasted it on probably with yes paste, because that works really, I find that it works really well for big surfaces. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And then the shutters are just paper mache that I painted, and the door, and etc.
Do you paper mache over the bubble wrap?
I didn't. No, the bubble wrap is just on tracing paper. There's no bubble wrap there, actually.
I see.
Actually, it's flat. It looks like it has a surface to it, but it's really flat. I put paint on the bubble wrap with a roller, and then I put tracing paper on top, and then peel the paper off and let it dry. And I get this effect depending on what colors I use and whatever. And I've done that with several of the houses. I also did a thing where I took the soles. I have a lot of shoes that have kind of rubbery soles with designs on them. And I made papers with the soles of my shoes. I just rollered paint on the soles of my shoes and then stuck it on paper. That works too. I mean, it's just a way of getting some interesting color and texture that I can then make wallpaper or outside flagstones or whatever.
Yeah, I like how you mixed it with all the colors, and it's
Yeah.
nice. they all work together. And you have, did you already say like beads around the windows?
But there are beads. I've learned a lot. I really started this even before tiny houses. I was making collages with old costume jewelry. And when the first tiny house class, I brought a lot of my old costume jewelry in. And Marcy, you have stuff like that too.
Right.
And I started using it on the houses. And when I used to be out and about and seeing people, I drove people nuts because I asked them if they had any old jewelry that they would be willing to donate to me. And I told them I would make a collage or something for them. And people used to give me stuff. I haven't really run low yet. And I also used to do a lot of beading, stringing beads. So I have tons of beads and it's kind of hard to get them up. But if I string them with bead thread and not each one, I can glue them down in a strip and they don't all fall off. It just makes it look a little more, I don't know, like stuff. It's not, you wouldn't have something that looked like that at your house, a real house, but you'd have something perhaps around the window. So it's, and there's little ribbons you can't really see, but around the bottoms of the windows, I had some little satin kind of a cord thing that I cut and I pasted there.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
Molly, are those 3 different houses or
No.
2 different houses?
This is different sides of the same house. It's one house.
Oh.
I always take 4, at least, and sometimes in overhead, just to show the different sides, because they're always different. So this is only one house.
I mean, I'll be honest, it's like, I can't imagine that the house on the upper top right is the same as the one on the left because I don't see the chimney.
Oh, well, that's the side. I have to wait a minute. That one may not be. Marcy, that may be.
I may have mixed them up.
That's all right.
Okay.
So
I thought it was, I mean, I can see
right.
that the bottom right and the left are the same house.
Okay. The way my screen is working, your faces when you're talking are over the one on the top right. That's a different house. It has the paper.
Okay.
And it has bay windows or at least one bay window that I made out of a toilet paper roll or a paper towel roll. But it's a different house, but it's some of the same paper.
I'm going to move to your next one. Oh, these are not in order.
This is this is interiors now. And I think this one, I've now finished it. I probably just sent this to you, Marcy. This one is an interior. I left the back all open and the front, I think this is the one that's supposed to be really modern. But anyway, this is the inside. And I experimented with a couple of different kinds of, this is one of my step ladders. I have another one. I've been experimenting with stairs and stuff.
How'd you make that? It looks like wire and something.
It's not wire at all. It is, it's popsicle sticks that I cut up. I believe that's popsicle sticks. I also, I go to this coffee shop where like Howard, I take the stirrers from the collection of stirrers they give you to stir your coffee, and I use them because they're a little thinner and easier to cut than popsicle sticks. But Howard was the one that gave me the idea to get popsicle sticks, and they were cool.
And that looks like antique earrings that are floating around.
They're old earrings from who knows where. Just that people gave me. I don't think any of them are actually mine. One of the things that I've started doing that's really hard to see, but in the window where you see that green stuff that looks like a plant, that is actually a plastic straw that I cut up to make it look like grasses. And I think it's sitting in a little vase made of pipe cleaner. I just discovered a lot of things that you can use that kind of look like real stuff, but that are obviously not. They're homemade. So.
Molly, this is interesting. I'm looking at it, and if you look like past that blue sofa, it looks like an ocean out the window.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Really?
It really does. I mean,
it has, if you have somewhere the front of the house, you'll see that it's on a very pale green, piece of, what do you call that, crepe paper,
Yeah.
and then it has different patios around it, because it was supposed to be, if you look at the front, it almost looks like, sadly, a prison. Oh, here's another house that, these are the other, this house with the stairs is the one, anyway, this is the other house with the stairs, and it actually has a side to it that comes off so you can see in. And that was a different kind of stairs, and that's the front.
Yes.
And there's more of my paper on the roof.
Twinkie too.
Oh yeah, Twinkie, she was helping me with the photo shoot.
But also interesting to get the scale.
Yeah, and those are cinnamon sticks with these plastic things I bought at some store somewhere for the trees. I find that cinnamon sticks make great trees. And you can see the bubble wrap. I love to use bubble wrap because it looks like glass brick from the outside. You can't really see it from the outside there.
I like the style, what you did on the upper left, that little extra awning.
Yeah, I do too. It looks like a bow tie on the house.
Yeah, it does.
That's blue bubble wrap. That's blue bubble wrap in the middle window. And that's just paper that I made. And I don't know, I thought it worked there.
Look at the screen door on the bottom left. I mean, that is just...
Yeah, I'm very proud of the screen door. And that fence is those coffee stirrers that I cut up and painted.
Oh.
Wow. So you have lights on in the upper left?
Yes, I have those little tiny lights that Howard again told me about them. They don't last very long, but you can put them in to light up the interiors.
That's nice.
And the other thing about this one that I wanted to point out that you can't really see is that the back patio outside the screen door is actually a stencil that I made in one of the classes, Marcy. It's a stencil that you had. It's kind of like doilies. It's supposed to be, you know, a pattern on the patio. And these little things that I have, you know, piles of stuff. Every once in a while I find something that I think is gonna just be perfect. So it's really hard to throw anything away.
So what's the grass? Is that just like shredded, folded confetti stuff that you put in packages?
Yes, I only got red in packages, so I ordered it from Staples, and I made a winter houses for my next door neighbor's granddaughter, and I got white confetti to put down for snow.
Oh,
you have a picture of that house that you did?
Marcy may, and if not, I do have a picture. I might have to send it to Marcy to show her because.
All right, and here's Colleen. Yeah, I can look also.
Yeah, I'm
send it to me.
Or we can see it in class. I've been hearing you talk about it. I'll see it.
I can show you in class.
Okay, and Kathy, I don't know if she made it or not.
I don't see her.
Okay, so this is Kathy. She was on mixed media and did a lot of these accordion books, like with color.
Very cool.
And more mosaic. She was doing a couple mosaics, so like the one on the right. And
you know, it's so funny. Kathy just sits there. Everything's going on in class, and all of a sudden she shows us something she's done, and it's so fabulous.
Cool. I like the arcade building on the left.
Oh yeah.
I was getting ready to say, is that part of Glen Echo?
Yeah. And then this one I liked.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
That looks like where I grew up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I mean, the barns, you know, lots of barns and metal roofs and deteriorating barns. Yeah.
So here it looks like she painted in it along with the collage. And probably used this magazine.
Great. I love those colors. They're so beautiful together.
Yeah. I love the blue-gray that interspersed with the orange.
Yeah.
Dark orange kind of color.
So it looks like she used the, I'm guessing the magazine, like bunching it up, soaking it. So, which is kind of neat because it kind of goes with that corner of the house, which is like gnarly.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the gnarly
Mhm.
there in this almost to the center. I mean, dead center is sort of that black rectangle, and there's like a weed that's going up the side of there. And then if you go to the left where the paper crunched, it almost mimics the perception of that gnarly tree weed or whatever it is. That's very, very cool.
You almost get the sense that there was a fire. With the red, I mean, not that it's on fire, but the colors are evocative of fire, and just the way it was so kind of falling apart.
Yeah, and the black looks like soot.
Yeah.
Charred.
Production.
Yeah, very much so.
Now, also, I'm noticing that almost looks like a shadow of a fence on the left. You see, like,
Oh, yeah.
background
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
almost like looks like on parchment or different color, that color paper. But the wrinkles looks like barbed wire to me, or some kind of. I don't, it just.
Yeah.
Very engaging. I mean, it just really, I just want to wander around it.
It really is.
Like off, not anything aligned, so that kind of makes it interesting.
But you've got so much depth with the horizontal roofs going back and back and back.
Right.
There's a lot of movement because it's on that because it's on a bit of an angle. I feel like there's
Yes.
movement around it.
Multiple
Looks
angles. I mean,
precarious.
you're just like,
Yeah,
like
kind of
tilt whirl.
like an aperture, the outside
Yeah.
shape, and then we're kind of zooming in. So.
And what I love about it is the angles of the roof and the windows and everything are so sharp. And then this blue piece of on the far left is like a curve.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the curve within that next orange piece where the sort of spider webby look, I mean, it's all these sharp angles, and then there's some curves that just sort of stop you and calm you down.
Yeah.
That is stunning.
I also like how you can see through that blue to the next layer
Yeah.
with the yellow and brown behind it. It looks almost transparent.
I wonder if it's a transparency that she's painted on.
Oh,
Oh, maybe.
I don't know, but that is stunning. I wish she was here so we could talk.
I know.
It's
Well, it
really
kind of
cool.
looks. It reminds me the see-through, like it's glass broken.
It does look like broken glass. Yeah.
Mhm, it does.
Mm.
Well, okay. So let me see what. And Roberta.
Ooh.
wow.
Oh, that is lovely.
Very
I love
cool.
that.
So Roberta did not make it. She's not here, or it's not. Oh, yeah. I like these colors too.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the different textures, the weaving, and then looks like the impression of something zigzaggy, and
Mhm,
Doesn't that look like a tire tread? I doubt that it is, but it
it
really
does a little.
mhm.
Yeah. I mean, the back, the weaving on top of that paper is just amazing, phenomenal. I mean, it's really stunning.
Marcy, do you know if that was a jelly plate?
I think that right. I think she collaged the papers on top of that jelly paper, did the weaving, and because I think she used that stencil or whatever that pattern was from
Oh,
in
yeah.
one of her altered books. I think so. I recognize it, but I like how she's put those other papers on top, but also she's got like lines within it set up, so it's thin lines, and then you've got the darker areas below. I think that's kind of neat.
I also like how she explodes the frame. She doesn't stick to the
Yes.
rectangle.
Yeah.
And then that diagonal of what looks like the tire tread sort of echoes the diagonal of the weaving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that it's not exactly centered.
Mhm.
It just, you see echoes of these diagonal lines.
Yeah, looking at it, seeing that woven, like I'm just gonna call it a placemat. I don't know, the woven. It just looks like it's hovering above whatever is
Mhm.
below. So
Yes.
that idea of depth, just like
Yeah, and it almost, the tire tread thing, the little black oval that's sort of there to the right, it's almost like it has its hand on the weaving.
Ah, yes.
It's like it's holding it. It's like sitting there holding it. And then the circle underneath the weaving looks like a glass that was set down, or a coffee cup
Yes.
that was set down and stained it. And it just, it all flows together so beautifully.
Yes, it does.
Stunning.
Yeah, now that you said that about the hand, and I know that Roberta has I think she has a black cat.
Oh,
Just looking as if there are paws coming out of like
Yeah.
that
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
grate there or something. I don't know. But nice. I'm sorry she's not here. Also,
Yeah, I love that. That is just amazing.
Very cool.
I like the texture. Okay, so also I think she's got another here. This is another of Roberta's.
mm,
I love how she put the monochromatic and then added just a touch of color.
Mm-hmm. And the lines, the shapes around that little triangle. That's
yes. It looks
I
like
mean,
she's
it
applied
reminds-
something.
It reminds me of a lion's head on the left. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I can see that.
And then, but just all the, you know, and the fact that it's 3 pieces of pink, and you got a triangle, a long rectangle, and another triangle. It just repeats, and it's very much pattern, rhythm, and repetition.
You know, your eye kind of travels across and back because of the lines and the colors. And
I'm curious as to what did she use? Is that like cording that is
Looks
doing
like
the silver lines that breaks up some of the stuff? That gives it that 3D image. It's really cool.
Yeah. And also interesting that it's silver because other grays are in the papers.
there's also some green in it.
Yeah.
That lower corner.
That teal green sort of.
Yeah.
Of copper. Yeah, it's really stunning. Love it. That's amazing work.
Oh
my God.
How about that?
Wow. Oh, that's
Who
wonderful.
did that?
Anne. Anne did that.
I remember when you were working on it, it really turned out great.
I do too. Yes, I agree.
It's for sale. It's at Wheaton Art Plaza.
Oh, good.
We were talking about excavating books, and up in the upper left top part, those are trimmings of where I was cutting out from a book. And then I just took all those shavings and crunched them together with some matte medium and made some.
That's a great idea.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then, I mean, it incorporate, you know, and then some of the pages from the book are the rolls, and of course some of the cutouts, and then it's using parts of my watercolor that I've done. Originally, this was a canvas that I had tried to do so like the big purple stuff that you see with the doodles with the ink on the watercolor. I had tried to do a doodle on top of a canvas, and it just wasn't working out. So I, you know, gessoed it and painted over it and started over. So the canvas has a texture to it because I had put some saran wrap on top of the canvas, and it raised the paint. So that's why there's some monochromatic wrinkling going on with the canvas. But
yeah, it looks like it's embossed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Wrinkled.
But it was
Wonderful.
just, but yeah. No, and Marcy gave me a great suggestion of, you know, dark lines. So that's where I pulled out the embroidery thread and started putting that around there.
That's great.
Did you sew with it, or did you
No,
just glue
I
it
glued
down?
it
Glue it
down.
down?
I glued it down with matte medium.
I
It
like
does
what you
look cool.
the upper right where, I mean, you've got these other places where you have text, but it looks like it's a window, or with the rolled paper, it looks like you're rolling back and then you're revealing this text.
Ah,
That
that's cool.
gives it the depth. And that's kind of neat.
It was sort of fun. And I mean, originally it was gray, and then I painted over it with some called sage, that's sage gesso. So you can sort of see the green tinge in there, but it's, you know, it's very muted and neutral. But, and then I used those, the, what do you call it, Marcy? These were actually oil pastels.
Not the
Caran d'Ache.
Oh, yeah.
Those weren't those. What I used on here, all the scribble lines that you see that look like crayon, those are the oil crayons, or the oil pastels, not the watercolor ones.
Okay.
And are those pieces of maps, or are those actually like line drawings that look sort of like the one that looks like a globe, and then in the right there's another one that looks sort of like a map?
So those are actually watercolor doodles that I do. So I put pigment down onto the paper, and based on the intensity, I take an ink pen and I go around it. And so the one on the bottom right, that little rectangle, and then up on the top, those are both the doodles, and up in the top right corner. And then the other thing I had done was I had taken rubber stamps and covered them with the same color watercolor and stamped them onto watercolor papers. So you see the ABC 1, 2, 3, and then I cut those out. But the and then I have this stamp thing that this, what do you call it? It has where the three down in the lower right where the 3 scrolls are, and it's like I cut out the center. I had done a stamp and I cut out the center, and then I put the scrolls down it. But that again is watercolor paper that I did that on.
And I wonder if you'd want to, or I could see you like taking some more of those papers that the watercolor doodles, those, and then the nice tones to it, and just having like larger pieces that you cut up, or have it over other parts of your watercolor. You know, I could.
Yeah, I mean, I have some large frame doodles. If that's what you're talking about. I mean, I have some that are, 8 by 10, 11 by 14. Actually, my friend's daughter wanted to decorate, so I did these large 9 by 12s, and she did a triptych of them and had them framed, and so they're just the doodles and framed. I'll have to send you that picture. I mean, they're quite stunning. I mean, they look really cool. And I have cards. I mean, I have different sizes. I have 4 by 6, 5 by 7, 9 by 12, 12 by 16, 8 by 10 doodles.
I wonder how it would be, I mean, just playing around with it. If you ever did photocopies of those and then did transfers. So partial, or just thinking of seeing through it somehow. Or
yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't made prints of any of this stuff. It's all original watercolors. Even the cards that I do, I make them as original watercolor and inks. But yeah, that one was fun.
Yeah. All right. So, and then you have another here.
Oh, yeah. We watched this one come.
Yeah, this one, this again is some watercolors that I chopped up, and then a lot of, what do you call them? Jelly plates. So, and then books and different papers. So this is on again, it's on a canvas that I just glued them onto. And this one is called Reading in the Garden. And if you can get up close and read the things, it's quite interesting. But yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's nice kind of shadow below the leaves on the left, upper left corner. I like that.
Yeah, those were some watercolors that I had done on some inexpensive paper, but then I took, the end of the brush and scrubbed into the paper. So as it was drying, it sort of made those stem looking things. And then also there's salt that I threw down on that as it was drying. So that's why some of the texture on those watercolor pieces is sort of scrumbly looking.
Is that gold leaf or something on the bottom?
No, it's actually the brown paper is just like grocery bag paper, craft paper that I dry brushed with some metallic paint, gold and copper metallic paint.
All right. It's definitely metallic looking.
Yeah. No, it is shiny. And then the ferny looking leafy thing up in the in the left hand quadrant, that was a stencil that I had stamped with a watercolor, and then I tried to be Kim and use my scissors and cut it out, but I don't do as good a job as Kim. So it's still, it sort of gave that fern looking, weedy looking, leafy thing to it.
It has a lot of texture. I like the way
Yeah. It's not as textured as the other one, but it is, 2 or 3 layers deep. So it's one of those things where I feel like you really have to be in front of it, and you can come be in front of it if you ever come to Wheaton Arts Parade in the gallery. And I'll be there Friday, 1 to 4. Please come. It's hanging on the wall outside my studio, so you can see it and experience it. And it really does make a difference how you can see, how you experience art in front of it versus just a photo of it, because I don't do a great job photographing this stuff. But
I like it. I like seeing, now I'm noticing that color, almost like an indigo, the left, this.
Yeah, that's actually a Payne's gray, I think. Or no, that's a metallic silver. So when you see it up close, it is, very metallic pewter, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that, and then what you have in the center with tones of that, I see. It's making me think, and I want to go sometime soon to a cemetery, say, and do some rubbings. It's reminding me of that. And or maybe it was graphite or on, I don't know, whatever I can do, mylar, I don't know. But I just like seeing that texture and that contrast that you have almost like over it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Oh, Maureen, here we go.
Us.
You're here, right, Maureen? Or did you?
Was here.
Yeah.
Was here. I love that.
Yeah.
She was here. Where'd she go?
I know. Someone may, people may have gone. I like those curtains now that I'm looking at. It looks like curtains.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that neat? So, and then the wheels.
Yeah.
And so that's just one view.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It really is. There's that little bag stash. That's cool.
I remember the bag of stash.
Right. It's little. It's really little. But
it looks like a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Did we have Ziploc bags back in the 60s?
No.
I don't know.
Did you live out there at the time?
Well, actually, we did have baggies.
Right.
Certainly did.
You had to have baggies to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But Ziplocs came along when?
they came up later. It was just plain baggies, I think.
Yeah, I remember because you folded them over and flipped them or something
Right.
like that, right?
Well, we sure had those stick-on flowers.
Yeah.
I think I had them stuck to my ceiling in my room.
We had those too on my house. That's cool.
So to digress, not this past spring, but the spring before, my daughter and I went to Amsterdam, and we went to the I can't
Tulips?
remember
The tulips? No.
the gardens outside of Amsterdam,
Um,
the big tulips in it, and the theme that year was flower power.
Oh,
And it was so wild to see all these 60s kind of, decorations using tulips and daffodils and, all kinds of flowers. I mean, it was just really, really wild.
off, right?
How do you say it?
Or something?
Keukenhof Gardens.
Yeah, it's where all the tulips are.
Yep.
Amazing place, yeah.
Yep. 2 years ago, and the theme was flower power.
Have any of you been to the Philadelphia Flower Show?
I have not, but I'd love to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if my sister's still on here, Loretta, because we went before. So
Yeah, that was amazing. It might be a nice field trip that you all could take sometime.
Yeah.
Can we really go in person now?
well, maybe next March.
Yeah.
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 Maybe that I'll have to do that in lieu of going back to Amsterdam.
It really is amazing. It's almost, they say, on par with the flower show in London. In England.
Oh.
It's really excellent. I recommend it.
Longwood Gardens, I'd like to go to.
Oh, I'd love to go there too.
It's beautiful. And the conservatory.
And they may be open.
Yeah.
I
Picture
mean,
outside.
we have a friend who, Loretta, Jeff, he photographs up near there. So I wonder if it is open. Anyway, let me see. Okay. Oh, here's the back. 1970. Okay. Nice bumper. So, oh, and Karen, I guess she's not here, but she made a couple houses, and they were canvas. And this, do any of you remember? I don't know.
Yes.
This was canvas that she
Painted?
Yeah, she painted it, but it was supposed to represent some kind of hut or something. Is that right, Molly?
I can't, was it, well, this isn't the whatchamacallit.
She gave one to her grandson.
Yeah, no, this isn't the Frida Kahlo.
No.
No. This is
one. I can't remember what this was, but it looks, I don't remember that it was, but it looks a bit Moroccan to me as I look at it now.
Oh.
Yeah, there was some native, I don't think it was native, it may have been Native American, but it was some, what's the right word that I'm trying to use?
A yurt? It looks like a yurt?
Yeah, I think that may have been what it was, that it was, replicating a yurt or some cultural kind of home of some people. But was this one out of paper or was this one out of fabric? Because I know the first one she did was canvas that she sewed together, but this one looks almost like paper mache, and I don't know.
This may be canvas. I can't, it's hard to tell, but you can see
Oh,
that.
yeah. I think it is. Look at the flooring or the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So she made a couple of the houses, and I don't know if we saw the one that she gave to one grandson, but she was working on some other things, like, I don't know if it was an aerial view or a map, but this is all that she had sent. But
And
interesting windows too.
She keeps saying she's never going to make another house, and then she keeps making.
If it were canvas, would she have shaped it over something?
Oh yeah, she was talking about a bowl, didn't she?
Oh, yeah. And I think she soaks it.
Folks,
Right.
yeah, it must have. something in it.
I think I remember her saying that now. Okay.
And
I
what
mean,
are
I
the
have
little-
not seen this, so this is, I mean, I just remember seeing her sew, and this one looks like it's more shaped and glued, so.
What are the little round circles? Are they flat or are they beads? I can't tell.
Looks
They-
like confetti or
Right.
Are
glitter.
they just cut out with a hole punch or?
I think it's confetti. I
I mean,
think
they're
it's not
small, right? Because they're so small. Well, it's like a little bit of spark to it or fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy those sparkle things, right?
Oh yeah.
Almost looks like it was sparkle glitter kind of stuff glued on around the door.
Okay, well, let me see. Kim.
Ah.
Kim,
Yes,
are you here?
I'm here. Yep, I'm
Okay.
still here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what to say. You guys, most of you have already heard that I'm an entomologist by training, so so I definitely use a lot of insect images in my work. So so these are all gel prints. This is all acrylic gel print. The background is an acrylic gel print, and the bugs themselves, the beetles themselves, are gel prints. And these are all longhorn beetles, which are a specific family. So I wanted to be like thematic with the beetle family, and yeah.
So I have to ask you, I mean, I took entomology in college, but you know, I don't remember the big things that we call palmetto bugs that are, I think of as roaches.
Yeah, those are roaches.
Yeah. One in my studio the other day, and I was like,
yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting. I remember Kim was making all different kinds of arrangements, like antenna in, antenna out,
right?
And a lot of things intertwining. It looks like, I don't know, the one on the right, that you have like a small inner circle of, those are other bugs?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
They're dancing.
Yeah, like a square.
It's so gorgeous.
Are these real bugs that, that you put down on fabric?
So it's on paper. They're on card.
They're real bugs, right?
They're cardstock, but yeah, it's real, real silhouettes of real bugs.
Okay.
So I got images from, there's something called the Biodiversity Library that has free source images of all sorts. I mean, like all sorts of different natural history kind of things, like shells and, of course, bugs, right? Lots of bugs. But birds, there's some really cool birds.
What is it called again, Kim? Natural History Library?
The Biodiversity Library.
Biodiversity Library. Oh, yeah. Wow, what a great source.
Yeah, it really is. It's pretty, there's it's hard. I mean, there's so much, it's almost hard to go through, but it's really pretty fun to poke through there and
yeah.
So I can send Marcy the link if you want to send it around later, Marcy.
Oh, Marcy, I would love to have the link.
Okay, I just wrote it down. Also, I don't know if I can't access the chat, but just interesting to see these and the negative space. And I don't know if you've ever like done any painting over once you place these other variations, or I know you put other papers in too. But I was looking at it and I guess it's obvious that they're bugs, but like, what if you didn't know they were bugs? I'm kind of squinting when I'm looking at it.
Right.
Like these are just kind of cool patterns.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, the way their antennas interlock is almost like lace.
Yeah,
right.
They look like doilies.
Because they're thin, yeah, and that's right. All I'm doing is squinting and looking, and it's kind of looking, or
I mean,
almost like.
I just had to take off my glasses and it's like squinting, but I love the background. You know what you did with the jelly prints. The texture is so interesting.
Yeah.
I used doilies. I did use some old crochet doilies from vintage shops. I used some of those to make the paper for the texture on the paper too.
Oh, okay. It's just beautiful.
Really is.
Makes me think of a kaleidoscope too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they're bugs, they're
They're really beautiful.
Kaleidoscope of
Yeah.
bugs.
I love
I
the.
Put in a good word for cockroaches.
Yeah.
They're
Kim,
very,
Kim, back up on this.
very ancient things. We know
And
that.
they're very
so Kim, are cockroaches related to beetles?
No, it's a different order.
Yeah.
Different order.
Okay.
A different order altogether, and a sort of a lesser order in terms of the cockroaches don't metamorphosize the way beetles and butterflies, like caterpillars, turn into chrysalis and then a butterfly. So there's a whole group of orders that metamorphosize and a whole group of orders that don't, that just get bigger.
How boring.
But cockroaches are very, very clean. I don't know if you knew that, but they're extremely fastidious.
They're just in dirty kitchens.
And maybe themselves, but they do. They carry a lot of disease. It's definitely not.
But I mean, I'm getting palmetto bugs in places that they shouldn't be, and I'm like,
I didn't even know they grew up north.
I know.
They were a thing of the South.
I know, me too, but I've seen them in.
I just got an Asian one.
Uh-huh.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
As
they're
a pet?
big.
Did you get a hissing roach as a pet?
As a pet, you say?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my COVID pet, a cockroach.
Well, no, there's beautiful, beautiful, huge hissing cockroaches that are just gorgeous, and they're very docile.
I just did an Asian cockroach.
Madagascar.
Yeah.
I was just going to go back to Kim. Now that I didn't see it right away, but I noticed like you've got some blue, like almost like an underlayer.
Yeah.
Or is that from the gel plate, or is it printed more than once over yellow paper, or is yellow was the ink or the paint?
Both over green paper, and so the one on the right, there's some dark green and black, and then the middle is a blue. So it's like layers of printing with a gel plate, and it looks like a circle because it's from the doily. So I used the doily, took away the excess, and then printed. And then actually the one on the left is green paper too, but the beetles in the arrangement are actually on, I'm pointing to my screen, you guys can't see that, right? But they're actually on pink paper. So in a couple little places you can sort of see the pink.
Yeah.
So
I do see it now. Yeah.
And
like a little
sort of see it on the edge a little bit. It's kind of
So
wasn't really
so you did the jelly prints and then you cut out the beetles from the jelly prints. So that's why the pink is showing up.
Yes. So I printed on the cardstock and then cut the beetles out of the cardstock.
Wow. With an X-Acto knife?
No, I actually have this. Well, I don't know about these. I have a new little tiny Japanese pair of scissors that I really like from Amazon. They weren't even that expensive.
Wow.
But
The work is so fine.
I know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You must have very, very steady hands.
Yeah.
I really like cutting paper, and that sounds strange, but
No,
It's
I
not.
don't like it, but I'm not very good at it. So I do a lot of it, but it's just beautiful what you work.
So like in each one of these, each bug is an individual cutting, and then you laid them down and glued them?
yes.
Okay.
What size is that? Like
These are 12 by 12.
like 12 by 12? Okay.
I think they're fascinating.
Yeah.
They are. They just, I mean, like I said, they're lace and lovely and fascinating. Just truly.
Well, that's how I feel about bugs. So that's appropriate. I think they're fascinating.
You know, actually, I loved taking entomology when I was in college.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
That's like a mandala almost.
Yeah, Howard, you're right.
Yeah.
That's in the middle, it's like this beautiful flower.
I'm wondering, I don't know, if you ever tried other materials to cut out of, like something heavier. I don't know. I'm just thinking, well, the cardboard, or I mean, I could see these as designs that in metal or something.
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't. I did try a book page, and it was just too old of a book, and it was too fragile. Yeah, that's interesting.
So, question, Kim, the black and red thing behind you, did you do that too?
Oh, no, that's I guess it sort of inspired me because Peter's brother, my husband's brother, the other day was like, "Was that yours?" So no, it's Charlie Harper. It's a Charlie Harper print.
Oh, okay.
So that Peter got for me a while ago, but I think it's in my brain clearly. So yeah.
I don't see
you too.
Well, okay, let me move on. There's more.
Marcy, I
nice.
had mentioned to you before anybody came that I have to cut out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Howard.
Bye, Howard.
Nice to
I'm
see you.
sorry. I'll see everybody.
Hope
Yeah,
to
and I'll
see you
send you.
soon. We've missed you.
soon. Happy New Year again. A
Happy
safe
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Howard.
Bye all.
Take care.
You too.
So Kim, this was neat because you did the gel plate and you were able to get that, the text here, and only certain magazines or ink work like that, right?
Yeah. So it was these 60s publications from the mid to late 60s, agronomic publications from, I think these ones are specifically from California, maybe UC Davis or some place like that. And yeah, so I was printing on different papers and experimenting with printing on different papers, and I discovered that these papers leave something behind, which was really pretty cool. I was sorting through a whole bunch of stuff from grad school and found these papers and saved them to use, and it was a pretty cool discovery. And then the white vase, I think that one is actually the paper itself. So the background is just cardstock with the gel print that included the text. The white one is actually, I think, one of the pieces of is a publication that I actually printed onto, because you get both, right? So when you do it, you actually get the paint on the paper plus some that's left behind on the gel plate. So it's pretty cool. So yeah.
So how many layers is this?
So this is a background layer, and then each vase is an individual vase. So there are 5 vases, and then the 2 like little pieces of plant-like material in the vase.
So, and you cut those out?
Yes. Yeah. So it's not actually a lot of layers really, but it does have some. I like the texture. I think
you're overlaying it.
Right. Yeah, the overlay makes it. To me, I can see lots of depth in it, as though there's the second from the left is coming forward to me, and the second from the right is way back. It's hard to believe it's 2-dimensional.
And did you have a stencil for the vases, or did you just freehand that?
I freehanded the vases. But
oh my God, they're so symmetrical.
Well, I fold the paper in half and then I do it.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains that. Okay, you gave away your secret.
Yeah, I did. You can sort of see it in the dark one on the left. You can
I like that fold.
The crease.
Because it has the crease.
Yeah, okay. It's so steady. I mean, really.
And then if I don't like the shape, I fold it back and do something else to it. So that's been pretty fun to just cut out the bases.
It's so stunning.
And how did you get the patterning on those vases? Was that a paper that you used that had those designs on it?
No, so those are gel prints also.
That's really neat.
Yeah, so with various textures. So some of it's doily, some of it is just, gel print on print. The 2 smaller gray vases, I actually got these stencils from Amazon that were pretty cheap, that kind of are mandala sort of stencils that seem to work pretty well with a gel plate. They actually really produce some neat stuff. So.
Kim, I like how you've got a lot of, different size vases and shapes, and it's a nice combination too.
So I would tell you, Kim, this guy that I follow out in California, Robert Burge, he's doing a juried show that's starting up that's called Table Setting.
Oh.
You need to submit some of these things, because this is a beautiful table setting, right? And you should do it. So look up Bob Burge or Robert Burge.
The Robert Burge artist.
Yeah. I can send you the link, but it's like, wow, this is, I mean, they're doing it. It's an international show. And it would definitely.
Yeah, I'll look that up. Thanks. I haven't really, so I put these there. This is 12 by 12 also, and as it turns out, framing 12 by 12 is actually kind of big, which I didn't really realize until actually I started thinking about it. But yeah,
Matt Board and More.
Matt Board and More.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. You have a couple more of these, right? Here.
Oh yeah, I've definitely got more. I've really been having fun. It's like putting a puzzle together. So I cut out all these vases and I figure out which one goes with which background. And actually the paper on the one on the right, the tallest vase in the middle, which is maybe a little too centered now that I'm looking at it, but that's one of the ones, Marcy, with the wax, with the melted wax.
Right. Yep. And is Nan here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Nan, okay, because Nan was with me in the Pyramid Atlantic workshop an evening where we were working with wax paper and an iron and changing like that way you'd have the resist. So then we tried it, and Kim, you were using, was it just a candle or paraffin? What did you?
Yeah, it was just I didn't have any wax paper. I was using a tea light candle that I shredded with a microplane grater that now has been sacrificed to the art, from the kitchen to the art. So yeah, I was using that, and then I was melting it underneath a sheet of parchment, because they do have parchment paper onto various types of papers.
Oh, Japanese paper, right?
Yeah. So that cotton paper, I think it must be cotton, yep. So this really absorbent, sort of really soft, nice paper that Peter brought back from Japan one time. So
The Japanese paper takes encaustic beautifully.
Yeah.
It just soaks right into the paper, and it just is yummy. It's really yummy.
It's like really embedded, encapsulated even. Interesting. Also, I'm looking on the left how that, the far left, that vase, the round bottom of it, it's gray. Is that a gel plate print, or did you?
Oh, on the far left, that one it's a white gel print on deli paper. So that one's on deli paper, so it's a little more translucent. Sort of like there's actually a shape in between the squat one in the middle with the white plant coming out of it, and the tall one on the right with the tall plant. So those are on deli paper.
Okay. It reminds me of wallpaper that has the relief to it.
Yes.
The one on the left does. Okay.
And just looking at this one and the previous one, I'm really taken by your white vases, and they have almost three-dimensional aspect, and the big one before, it looks just illuminated. They just jump out from the other vases, I think.
Yeah, you can almost it almost looks like you've got the plant, you can see through it. You can see through your vase.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
The texture, I feel as though if I rubbed my fingers on them, I would feel this kind of rough, fairly rough but smooth texture. I mean, they're so evocative. really feel that I can touch them and feel how they feel. Like the Japanese, I don't know, is it raku or whatever kind of pottery, that very thin
Yes.
pottery.
They're
I'm
wonderful.
just,
Yeah.
I'm just really fascinated, the one on the right, where the white vase meets the dark vase.
Mm.
And it's kind of, it kind of plays with your eye with,
Yeah.
which is negative space and which is positive space. And it's just, plus that to me, that one just looks like vases in a snowstorm.
Oh.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Are any of you familiar with Giorgio Morandi's work?
I
The
think
Italian painter who painted vases?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
On a straight line,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
on
they're,
a shelf.
that's what it feels
Yeah.
like.
I was telling Kim about that.
Yeah.
Just remind me of that. Plus, also recently I saw, and I don't know if Kim, I shared it with you, I think an artist in Sweden, and some of her work, it's rougher, but similar like composition. I'll share it with you.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, the Morandi, I actually wasn't really that familiar with him. I'd seen, once I looked him up, I recognized the paintings, but I wasn't familiar with his name. But yeah, I could definitely see that. His stuff is really, I like it a lot, actually.
It's beautiful. It's
Your
that's
imagination.
all he painted his whole life. Vases.
Realistic. All of them. It's your best effort. And let me tell you, you're good enough to enter into this show. We have an international juror, again, a different one. Her name is Karen Vernon. I love this lady. She's a great teacher and a great painter. And so she's well qualified to pick out the best. So you send in your best.
You hear? You got to do it. Kim?
Yeah, I think maybe I will.
Okay. All right, I guess I'll move on. Gail.
yeah, so I think a lot of you have seen this.
Beautiful.
It
Again.
looks a little washed out in the photo, but I started with the altered photos of the woman and then the pastries below. And I guess I put some oil pastel on them, and I wet, I wet them to get the emulsion off, like Marcy always teaches us. And then I kind of got into this theme of, retro domesticity, I guess you might say. So I don't know, I don't know what to add about it other than what I've said before. I'm still playing with how to attach that picket fence, which is the only three-dimensional.
Well, the measuring tape, is it a real measuring tape that you like?
No, I think it's paper. I think it's yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just paper. But that brown and blue under her is a ribbon.
But the measuring tape, you can see the shadow. Now,
Right.
how did you get that? Did you paint that? I mean, it's as if it definitely has a three-dimensional element to it, at least in. Yeah, I mean, it really, it doesn't look. It looks like it's kind of barely sticking.
Well, it might be barely sticking. I think
no, it's a wonderful effect.
I think it's neat because also with that fence, you've got the relief, it's coming forward. So you've got not all, I mean, if I like that isn't like flat, the yellow measuring tape, because otherwise that, I don't know, I think it works with your fence. But I like that blue behind it a lot. What was it?
Yeah, that was just, it was just like a watery acrylic on a canvas. And yeah, and I forgot the other three-dimensional aspect is that press apply envelope. So that flap on the top, that orange flap actually sticks out.
And that geometric paper behind the woman, that's a little bit like sticking out too.
It almost looks like a silk scarf to me. I know it's paper, but It just has
Oh,
a
okay.
very kind of, flowing feel to it.
And it looks like, what are they called? Not pedophores? What are the candies? Below? What are,
Like a new.
Yeah, I think those were little, well, they were little pastries or something. I mean, both the woman, well, she was a billboard. Both of these are from a trip to Paris. So the pastries were like a photo of, some pastries in a window display or something. And then she was just a billboard sign or an ad or something that I photographed.
yeah. Wow. I think you tied it together with that blue and the like drawing on her.
I can almost hear some French music behind it. So
I wish I were back there now.
Yeah, it's the first one that I've seen that really evokes a kind of a sound to me. And I find that very interesting because that's not the way I experience art, but I really can hear music behind it.
That's so interesting because are you familiar with the term synesthesia?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and I think I have. I experience things in different sense dimensions.
Well, I always thought that that's what it was. Well, it is partly, sort of mixing sight and sound, different senses kind of get intertwined, but it's also, I don't know if any of you think of certain letters and numbers as having specific colors.
Oh yeah, I do.
And also I see numbers like in a sort of map where 1 through 12 go around sort of in a clock, and then the teens sort of go horizontally. And I never realized, I always pictured my numbers that way. And it was like, why am I picturing numbers in this pattern? And it turns out that's a form of synesthesia. If you look it up.
Well, to me, this is just really powerfully suggests a French tune behind it. Yeah, it really does.
Well, that's pretty cool. Thank you for pointing that out.
It also looks very 60s also.
Yes.
Or even deco.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the McCall's pattern is fabulous.
I like that too.
Yeah, it's that place, I think Marcy, you might have mentioned this ages ago, that it's called Upcycle. Is that the place in Alexandria?
Yeah.
And I got a whole bunch of these sewing patterns and, stuff like this there.
I like what you've got also, that small amount of like lattice or that pattern, the blue squares behind.
Yeah, that's wallpaper, I think. You mean those things with the plants?
Framing it?
Well, first I have to attach this fence, and I know you guys gave me a whole bunch of different types of glue, and then my other friend that does collage said that she would probably poke holes through with an awl and then take wire and wrap around the fence. So I haven't quite figured out how to attach it yet. But.
Just that the caulking clear, just dab it behind. I mean, yes, glue you could use if you put it behind it, maybe lay something on top of it afterwards to set, but I think if it's just little pieces of wood.
Yeah, wood and wire.
Right, caulking, the clear caulking, dabs behind each one and just lay it out.
Another possibility is those little glue dots.
Oh.
You don't like them, Marcy?
I mean, then you're dealing with something that's just the round things. At least with the caulking, I feel like you've got some control over it.
That's true. I mushed up the glue dots and take control, but I know what you're saying.
I don't know. It's what I guess either could work, but I'm just thinking of the size of the little dots. I mean, it would be hard to like manipulate.
Yeah. But the caulking, you have to hold it. At least it doesn't have instant stick. That's the only problem I have with it.
Oh.
It does. You have to kind of keep it for a while till it sets. But once it's set, it's set. And that's many glues, especially the glue gun, don't have that property.
Right. And you could always, I mean, keep it flat. It wouldn't be hard to
That's
set.
true.
In other words,
That's
just
true.
dab it in most, you don't even have to do every single little picket. As long as you kind of thorough with it. And then put like a piece of tracing paper or on top of it, just in case any of that glue still is around, and then a book on top of that, and just leave it. But the thing about the caulking, you can wipe it with a Q-tip or like a wet paper towel, just a little bit of excess, but get the clear kind. Anyway.
Okay. How bad does it smell?
It does not smell. That's what I like.
It does.
It doesn't smell.
It doesn't. Okay. Because I'm
A hot
kind of
glue. Wouldn't that be instant? The hot glue guns?
Yeah, but it does. I have found that it doesn't really last.
Right. It'll come off. It will not stay down there.
Okay.
What
do milliners use? What do hat makers use? Milliners use something.
Oh, well, my husband was using this, someone knows what I'm talking about. That, I don't know if it's 999 or it's, I think that stuff has a terrible toxic smell.
Yeah.
But maybe there's other things. It's just I'm happy with the caulking.
Okay.
So,
I will try it. Thank you for your suggestions. I'm going to have to go, Marcy, but this was great. And I look forward to seeing you
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, I put a check in the mail to you today. The way the post office is, I mean, I have some bills from like December 21st that have still not gotten to where they're supposed to go, but
yeah,
I took it to the post office to mail it. So
Oh.
yours will be there soon.
Well, I'll just be glad to see you. Okay. Right.
Have a good weekend.
You too. So
Great to see everybody's work.
Thanks. So Alicia, are you here?
I am. Hi.
Oh boy, you've been quiet. Okay, I'm glad you're
just taking it all in.
Okay. Well, you've got this, and then also I have another page of yours.
Yeah. So the one on the left is a gosh, I'm trying to remember everything that this is. It's a 2 photo transfers over a gel print, I think. And the photo transfers are both from Vogue magazine, which is my favorite for the photo transfers because it's so easy. The paper just comes right off after soaking. And actually the leaves are from like a Clinique ad, I think. And I just cut those out.
It's really nice to see through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot.
And then the top right is from a little accordion book that we did in class. And it's, we were playing with the blackout poetry and just taking some text. Some of the text is my mom's handwriting from some things I'd copied. And then there's some collage in there, some magazine pages, some gel prints, some gel pen, just, a whole mess of stuff. Wonderful. And then the bottom right are 2 pages from a book that I've been working on, just a book where I've just been doing collage on different pages or painting on some pages. And it was different for me. Like that palette's not a typical palette for me. So Marcy had asked me to include it because she liked that palette. And it's some gel prints on some book pages. It's mostly cut up gel print, and then there are some of the soaked magazine pages on there too.
So you say this is in a book?
Yeah. It's in this book somewhere.
I don't have it so I can see, but I like seeing the old book pages on the right.
Yeah.
That's neat.
The colors are just beautiful.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
It reminds me of that what Nan had suggested, and I don't know if you can see me, that art graph, the Taylor. I'll show you later if you want. But there's colors, and I could see you just using these too.
Yeah, it's these art graph pen, watercolor, water-soluble crayons called art graph. And they're wedges like this, but they do, I mean, here's an example of what they'll do. You know, you just color with them and use the water to smear them, to move them. So they're great. You know, there's water soluble charcoal, but these art graphs, highly recommended.
Yeah, and I like the colors. So the colors that I have are kind of like the colors that you have in that open book page. But anyway, nice that rust on the right. That's from a gel plate. So you printed twice. What is?
Let me take a look at it. I'm not sure that I. So on the right, the rust. Yeah, that's from a gel print.
Okay.
Yep. And in the middle, the green with the yellow, that's on like a green, like packing paper that came, like, it's almost like a grocery bag paper.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. And what is the blue? It looks like handwriting. Maybe you talked about this and I missed it, but.
Oh, at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah, the blue is, I think it's a piece of tissue paper actually with some gel pen over it or under it or maybe layered over something. I actually don't have that one handy, so it's hard for me to remember, but it's definitely layers of something.
And what was the handwriting? Did you say that was your mother's?
Yeah, the handwriting is my mom's, and then the print is, I think, from one of my mother's yearbooks, and I made copies of both.
So cool.
So they're photocopies of those things.
Yeah, you know what? I like the grayness, the tone of the copies.
Yeah, I like that effect too.
And the one on the bottom right, the white pieces, they sort of remind me of like calico print.
Interesting.
With floral. I mean, you know, they're very soft and pastel-y, and it's just very cool.
Thanks. Those are, I think, the magazine pages. If I'm talking, if it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean the ones that have the white background, they very much look like a you know, a calico.
Well, we're gonna go to the next spread.
Yeah, so these are all book pages from the same book, but just some very different things. So the one on the left is, there's a photo transfer of an ad from a magazine. There's some cut up gel prints. There's some magazine pages. Some were soaked and some are just pages from magazines. Trying to think what else is in there. Let's see if I can find it.
I like all the cutting up and the directions and the layers.
I love the lady.
Yeah, there's some cut up photos in there too. And the lady is a photo transfer from a magazine.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, and then on that one, I left some of the print from the actual book that this is in. You can see like on the bottom right, that's a photo transfer over the print in the book.
Oh,
yeah.
That was fun to figure out.
Yep.
And then I used some gel pens and some, I think even some watercolor on this.
On the top left, what is the text? It looks like a poster.
Yeah, it's an ad from a magazine, from an old magazine for the Blue Note Jazz Club. And it's It's an ad, and I think it's over just that page of this book is black. So it's layered over a piece of like pink tissue paper that had some gel print on it, and then the black. That's how I got all of that different color underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun, that page.
It almost looks like a castle over blue towards the
Yeah, those are like cut out from, there's some cutout magazine pages, there's some cutout photos, a lot of layers there. And then in the middle is, I think like woody, you know, the color, just the crayon over the black page.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Okay. So
And then
others, yeah.
on the right side are a couple of other page spreads. The one at the top is really like very different from what I usually do, but Kim had taken this class, the Matisse cutout class, and had shown us a few things that kind of inspired me. So I cut out some cardboard pieces of colored cardboard and mixed it with some gel prints and some tissue paper. It's hard to see in this size, but if you enlarged it, you would see, like, again, some of my mom's handwriting. There's a gel print over some book pages. So there's some text from that, in addition to the text underneath from the book itself. So yeah, there are a ton of layers on that yellow and orange side. And then the blue one on the bottom, gosh, there's a lot in there too. There's pieces of postcards, there's pieces of photographs, there's some gel prints that I cut up. There's gel print on graph paper, so there's a little bit of texture from that. There's gel print on, actually there's some merge prints, merge painting on book pages with resistance. Like I used texture from like you can see that at the bottom in the blue. There's texture from like a netting from
like a rubbing
Clementines or something. Yeah, it's like a rubbing I did in wax and then did the merge painting on top of it.
Oh, cool. I like what you did with the designs. I don't know, you drew them the left side and then the bottom, right?
I did. Yeah, I drew those in using the woody crayons and then just kind of took some, you know, wet them a little bit to get the wash over it.
The one on the bottom right to me really looks very sort of liquid, like fluid, almost like almost a pool. Really,
cool. Almost my favorite
or something. Not just a pool, but it's really.
Thanks. And then the yellow in the middle, the lines going up and down, like kind of a triangle, that's an altered photograph.
Yeah, that fits really well. I mean, that's cool. So it looks like you have an altered photo on the right.
So on the bottom, it's a postcard.
Oh, okay.
Cut out. I think it's one of the Smithsonian buildings, actually. And then the top is cut out from a photograph, the butterfly and the windows. That's like from something in Las Vegas. It's like a snapshot. And I just cut out that piece of it.
Okay.
Because I had like hundreds of, probably thousands actually, if I really counted them, of my mother's snapshots from like all of her travels and trips. And I've been not knowing what to do with them. So I've been cutting them up.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it just like the juxtaposing of that, like a window and a different angle.
Is she still with us or no?
No, she passed away a few years ago, and I had many things in my house that needed to I needed to do something with. So
I-
throwing,
Lovely memorial to her.
oh, thank you. Yeah, it's hard to throw away those things, but at the same time, they're not my memories. So like especially like the just snapshots of landscapes or buildings, like they don't mean anything to me. So
It's so lovely to use them this way.
yeah.
See, I have a box of my father's love letters to my mother.
Oh,
from
wow.
1939 and 1940, a big shoebox. And
Wow.
I just haven't been able to use them in art yet. It would be something to do, but
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know.
Well, one thing I've done with some of her writings is just to make photocopies of it. And then, you know,
Possibility.
yeah. So,
I
yeah.
did that, right. Okay. So, oh, right, here you go.
Yeah, this is, I think, are these book pages too? Gosh, there's so much in this book. This is my COVID book.
We can see that. I mean, it looks like COVID. It looks like COVID.
I was kind of kidding, but yeah, it does, doesn't it? So,
Beautiful.
and these are mostly cut up gel prints. So just torn up or cut up gel prints.
Yeah, I always love the colors you use.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, I do too. The colors are just
so scrumptious.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
It looks like you drew with the blue on the right. Did you? Or?
I think I did. Yes, you're right. I traced with a gel pen some of the, that was from like cardboard packaging. So some of the odd shapes that were made by the cardboard.
Neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right. So,
oh, wow, look at that.
House.
Elsie, I love this house.
Are you here? I can't see. Is Elsie here?
Oh, no.
Elsie was IMing and it looked like she maybe needed to
I think she had to go. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't get to see the chat and see. Okay.
Oh, well, I just love her house.
Yeah, I like how we can see in that window.
And, you know,
Are those old Metro things, or what are the coins with the M on it?
I think that one is, do you remember, Molly? Didn't you?
Some, I think it is, and some are buttons,
Right.
as I recall.
Mhm.
I guess some of it we'll have to ask her.
Mhm.
But I can remember when it was all white, and then all of a sudden, the color just popped.
And the roof, she used, it looks like she used some notions, maybe.
Yeah. Or I think
Trim. Yeah.
blue is really has a lot of texture.
Mhm.
Is it paint over the paper mache? Like a translucent?
Right.
You know, yeah, and it's so funny because I remember when the house was in construction, I was so amazed at how smooth her paper mache was, because mine's always bumpy, and yet she got this great textured effect.
So, it almost looks like the lower one, like there's a library in the left.
Do you sand down your paper mache before you paint it?
I don't know.
I have had not much luck doing that, but one can. I started working with molding paste.
Right.
And it's a lot smoother than the paper mache. I'm looking forward to using up what I bought and making my own, because I think I can control the texture more. But I've just been experimenting with different mediums over the cardboard just to see how it works. My paper mache is pretty primitive, and most of my houses have that primitive look. And as I started wanting to make them look contemporary, I sort of have been looking for a way to smooth the texture. And I'm not a great sander, but Marcy, you've recommended that.
Well, but I've heard, I don't know, you did it, right? And you weren't happy with it, or maybe.
Well, I've tried it and I don't have a good technique, and sometimes too much comes off and I have to go back and recover.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's, I don't wait long enough for it to dry or whatever. I haven't figured out that technique to get it smooth. Howard's not with us, but I know that that's something he had worked on a lot.
I wonder about if you do your paper mache and then you gesso it, prime it, and then sand that.
That might be an interesting way to do it. I hadn't done that. I always gesso, but I've thought about, sanding it first, maybe priming it.
Right.
And, another thing that's a possibility is, now that I'm kind of into this molding paste, is a combination of the molding paste and the paper mache. I don't know. Is
it making the initial mixture? Because I find I have to really make sure that I get tiny lumps out of the flour mixture.
Right.
Because could that be causing the bumps?
Well, even when it may just be impatience, because even I really try to get pretty smooth paper, the paste mixture, the flour mixture, pretty smooth, but I'm just not really successful at getting a totally smooth outcome. And I just think there are things I haven't tried to do yet. Perhaps using a palette knife and smoothing it while it's still wet. I've not tried that. But
have you tried gel medium as opposed to paper mache?
No, I have not. I've tried the molding paste. I haven't
tried gel medium, because that's like a glue.
Yeah, well, I might, and that may work. But it depends on how stiff things get with it, because I worry about how long it's going to last.
I mean, the first house that I didn't do paper mache. I did it with gel medium.
Okay, I'll certainly try that in.
I mean, mine was not smooth because I was putting down paper, but if you have a solid sheet of paper and then put gel medium on it, you should be able to get
it.
Yeah, I've done it with, I did one of the small houses, and instead of using the paper mache, I used glue and water, and it was really smooth.
Well, to make the molding paste, it is glue and water and a little plaster of Paris or baking soda, which sounds more like what you did. And I just haven't made it for myself yet, but because I bought this molding paste, but that's the recipe that I found on the internet, and I'm going to try that. I mean, it depends. They always look the way they look anyway, and I mean, I'm not trying for like a perfect outcome, because they all look cute, but because I'm so attached to this, to keep doing these houses, I'm beginning to try other ways of putting them together.
Well, maybe, I mean, at least for me, when I did try it with the glue and water and got the smooth, I remember I did it on a small house. So you might want, if you want to try something different, try it on a small.
Well, yeah, and I've been kind of scaling them down.
Oh.
Why, I don't know, but I have been. I think I'm probably only because I don't have a lot of room in my house
to
put them anymore. I have too many.
Okay.
I've been afraid. Even the ones I've given away, which I have, I have no, what's the word? It's sort of like all the coronavirus stuff, the COVID-19 stuff. We're like the beta testers of all of this. I don't have any history of how this stuff holds up. So far, the paper mache has held up pretty well.
Yeah.
And I don't know about anything else yet because I haven't really. So we'll see.
Okay, because
Question, Marcy. I haven't taken the tiny houses class, but I want to. But if you're making paper mache glue, and you're not doing layers, but you're making a whole glop, can you just blend it like you would? Because I'm a paper maker, so you know, we use a blender to blend the fiber in with water. It would seem to me that you could use some other medium other than water to blend those paper fibers and then pull that out and use that as a kind of plaster.
Right, and I think I have seen before some people use there's like the brown paper towels like they would have in the bathrooms, like in the commercial bathrooms, or toilet paper as your paper mache. I've never tried that.
I've only used newspaper, but that's really interesting. I mean, I have a long way to go, and I kind of got stuck on using the newspaper and the paste with the flour and the water and the salt, but there's a lot of other stuff to do.
Yeah. Well, Marla, are you on?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't you use something different?
I just used the paper mache.
You did? Okay. I thought I don't know, I thought someone like
paper
mache.
You know, I've used acrylic in all these, and then I did what I guess you're not supposed to do. I, you know, encaustics on top of it. And I like it. It seems to work.
Yeah, I did encaustic right over just the paper mache.
Yeah, well, I put it over the acrylic.
So Marcy, I used wallpaper paste, like that.
Oh,
like
okay. Maybe it was you then.
It could have been me, yeah. And that, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but they look good. They still look fine.
Yeah. So wallpaper paste. Okay. Because and then or you can buy paper mache, like a box of it also.
I've always thought that was kind of cheating. Not that I'm above cheating, because I'm not. But there's so many other things to experiment with that I can make. I mean, I'm really interested to make this molding paste myself, and I just haven't done it yet. But when I look on the internet and people do it and they use it, it looks great. Of course, they wouldn't put it on the internet if it didn't look great.
Oh, well, you have a discerning eye.
This blue house, I'm still intrigued. Is that, I don't think that's just the way she painted it. It looks like she had paper with a texture.
I honestly recall that she painted it, but it looks to me now the way you're saying that it looks like textured paper, but I don't recall that that's what she did.
I think it's just because it's a close-up and it looks like lighter in some places. And darker.
The paper mache, I mean, I don't have anything here that I'm looking at because it's all in other rooms, but it really does end up with a stucco-like texture.
Right.
And I think that's very effective for the quaint gingerbready houses. And they're more fun because you can put much more bling on them.
Well, even like other people's sculpture paper mache, I mean, they use the same, you know.
Yeah.
Not always very smooth. It might, you know, it's kind of interesting when I think you have a surface that's not totally smooth.
I agree with you. But it's fun to try different things.
Right.
And as I say, especially because, you know, every time I see all of the other wonderful mixed media things that people are doing, I feel inspired, and then I just sit down at my table and I just want to make a tiny house. I don't know why.
Well, are any of you gonna
this addiction?
Well, there is a tiny house that is a free class if anyone wants to sign up for it, starting a week from last night. So Thursday nights.
Oh.
And I thought I put it in the email. It's I think 6 to 7:30, the Silver Spring Town Center.
Oh.
So Elsie signed up for it.
Oh, I'd like to know about it.
Okay, let me write a note to send you.
I would sign up for it.
Does it focus on construction or what?
It's 3 evenings and it's an hour and a half. And we're going to do construction the first night. The second is going to be paper mache. And the third is painting and blending.
Because I have trouble, I think, with roofs and trying to figure out how to attach them, when to attach them, you know.
Wait, do we have to
Marcy's
be in person?
tutelage is great
What?
on that. Marcy
What?
can teach you everything you need to know about that.
Yeah, well, I had the one class, but I think I need to go back and learn.
Well,
some.
Molly, I'll forward you and Marla and
I'll definitely sign up.
Nan, you said? Okay.
Yeah.
It starts next week, is it?
It starts right the 14th.
Okay.
Wait, we are there in person?
No, it's virtual.
We
Oh.
never get to go anywhere in person anymore.
No.
So yeah, so anyway, it's through the Silver Spring Town Center. And like I said, Elsie signed up. I don't know. At first, like a lot of people signed up, but there's probably, I think there's still space. So I'll email you all after this. So far I wrote down Molly, Marla, Nan. Anyone
Yeah.
else?
I thought I signed up. Maybe you don't have me on the list.
Oh, I don't have the list. So if you already signed up, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I think, yeah,
Okay.
directly with
Lisa. Okay, so you got
Lisa.
that email. All right, so I'll send it because I don't have the list. I just know that in the beginning it seemed like quite a few. But so let me keep going because we are going to see Elizabeth's house. Oh, here's more of Elsie's. Okay. Neat. Here we go.
Oh gosh.
I love it.
Woo.
Wow.
Oh
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
my.
And then she made a video too, but do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I since I first thought of taking a tiny house class, I saved so many things in my basement. It was disgusting. You know, it was knee deep. Okay. But so finally, that was overwhelming me. So finally, I just went back to the basics, and I started with just the milk carton in the middle, right there.
Right.
I was actually in the process of trying to do a small documentary film about my great grandfather from Scotland, and then I lost his photograph, the one of him in a kilt. Like, okay, so I started thinking less about the male side of the family, and then I started thinking about the female. I'm named after Jessie Forbes, so this is a Clan Forbes. It's not really a Scottish castle, okay, believe me. But as far as I'm concerned, it's more like a castle, or it's a testament to her. So in the black and white stuff that I used, I had participated in a math in art class at Montgomery College and used a compass and stuff, and to make this a big intricate picture. So I just made Xerox copies of that and cut it up and just used it in different parts of the sculpture. So there's just, you know, what do you call it? Rolls of not toilet paper, but paper towel rolls in there that are cut down. And in the back, you can't see it. This is the only picture you have, Marcy?
No, we've got this.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So up. Oh, okay. That's the film. Okay.
Did you paper mache all this?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my.
Isn't it wonderful?
And that's my great grandmother, Jessie Forbes, right there in the house.
Oh.
Wow, you two look exactly alike.
Whatever. These things on the left, these are actually from inside a shoe that came, so they're kind of shaped like a shell at the back. This is I'll tell you about what's in there later, but there's a woman laying in a bed and it says, go back to sleep, there's no vaccination.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
then I have a rope ladder because I really didn't want to do steps. Inside, yeah, and this is a map. On the top, it's a map of Pitlochry, Scotland, where she's from, and then the bottom is Tacoma Park, where she immigrated to, where I live now. And the top of there, Grace Me Guide, is the crest for the family crest. This is my version of Scottish broom. It's a plant from,
Did we lose it?
no, it's just the way I'm filming it.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a deer and antlers in the crest. And so while I was working on this and thinking about this and how to get a deer in there, this buck comes into my backyard and walking around, and I go out and I take a picture of it. And then I kind of shoot away because I kind of felt nervous with him. And then he kind of felt like he was kind of looking at me like, why are you shooting me away? You kind of like conjured me to come here. Now, why are you telling me to go? But I thought it was really kind of neat that it showed up. And so that's the picture of the back.
What is it? Is this paper that you have pasted on, or
what?
All the designs? Is this a paper that you have then glued on?
Yeah, that's right.
Forms?
That's right.
And then covered with a translucent something?
No, I didn't actually cover it with anything.
Oh.
No.
Kind of Art Deco in a way, I guess. But the now I'm looking, it looks like mushrooms. Is that right?
There's some mushrooms in there. Yeah, actually, and deer eat mushrooms. I read later online thinking, why do I have mushrooms on here? And then I looked it up. Deer, mushrooms, is there a connection? And there was. So it wasn't like forethought. It was subconscious or something. I don't know.
Synchronicity, an acausal connecting principle.
Yeah, like that.
I like the symmetry of it. I really like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so here's like that.
Oh,
You
that
know,
looks like a mushroom, really.
And there's something.
Yeah, it does.
It does, but it also looks, in a way, Eastern, like onion domes.
Yeah, that does influence me a bit. That.
Oh, and the feathers are so fabulous.
Thank you. Well, I knew after I did it all in black and white, I really didn't want it to be just black and white. But then when I came across the Scottish broom, I said, okay, I'll add yellow. But then I wanted something tall, and I didn't have anything in my backyard that I could use. So I just ordered, I looked up yellow and black feathers and had them shipped to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
I wonder what kind of bird that the feathers is.
Oh, those are
go ahead.
But they're probably duck feathers.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I think one of them was maybe a guinea hen, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but the yellows are probably dyed duck feathers, don't you think?
Can't remember. I'd have to look on my purchase order, my receipt.
Pretty cool. So such interesting designs and patterns.
How long did it take you to make this?
I really don't.
Long time.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think more than a month, but I didn't work on it every day. But
I love the fact that everybody makes a house and they're all so different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, you use the word house for it, but nobody has the same concept of house in their mind. I love that.
Well, I had no concept of what I was going to do. I just started with the milk cart. You know, it wasn't like I, planned it.
But it's not that it's planned, but I mean, what came out of the beginning and what evolved from it is absolutely, I know you can't use absolutely unique. It's either unique or not unique, but it's unique. I mean, believe me, I've taken almost all of Marcy's classes and made many and seen many, and there isn't one that's like this. And I find that really thrilling that people what they come out with is so different. And, you know, that the human imagination just knows no bounds. I love that.
Thank you. It kind of overwhelmed me, actually. Like, what is happening here?
Well,
But I didn't stand in the way.
Oh, but that's so great.
So Elizabeth was in the class and missed a time, and then she like had messaged me the picture and the video, and then I uploaded it, and we're like, wow, like it was just surprising because you really like took it really far from when we.
Oh yeah.
It was one of these things like I put it on my bucket list to do a tiny house. Now I've done it. Okay. So I'm not sure I'll do another one, but I did it.
Yeah, you're going to do another one starting next
Oh,
week.
well, that one. Yeah, I guess I'll do
That's
that one.
exactly, you know, that's what Karen keeps saying that. She's
Right.
going to do another house, and she keeps doing another house.
I really think they're like potato chips. You can't do
Something so evocative about houses. I mean, houses can be traps. They can be containers. They can be refuges. They can be, you know, there's so many, you know, dream imagery is very rife with houses.
Mm-hmm.
And
You know,
so they're very evocative, very evocative.
I am part-time in Lewis, Delaware, which is next to Rehoboth. And I'm a member of the Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild, although I don't really write anymore. My husband is a big writer. And there's a program that the Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild has called Art in the AM. And what it is they post pictures of 3 different artworks by their members, or even not members, but, you know, homemade artworks. And then people write about them, and 3 of the writings are chosen, and then the group meets. Of course, it doesn't happen anymore in person, but the group meets, and three chosen people read what they wrote about the artwork, and then the artist presents the work. And I actually presented the first little group of houses that I made in the first tiny house class I took to the group. And it was quite amazing what people wrote about them. That it really, these were 3 row houses, and they were very cute, but they really had strong reactions to the intimacy and the connection. So yeah, houses are very evocative.
Yeah. Actually, tomorrow I'm starting a class with this woman. She got in touch with me, and she's a Jungian therapist. And she's been thinking about this for a long time. She's going to be doing meditations on houses. She's got other workshops coming up, but she's really excited about this. So it'll be interesting to hear her and what she comes up with, you know. But I think that.
And is this something that's open to us, or is it just you and her working together?
Right. It was just she wanted to have just for her, and or she may have 2 friends of hers. So it's just going to be like this small thing.
A private workshop. I would love to hear a story about that someday,
Yeah.
Marcy. When you're with a group of us to tell us about the Jungian therapist and houses.
Right. I mean, I don't know that HIPAA's involved with this.
Oh.
Can I mention one more thing about this before? Now that you're onto the Jungian stuff.
Right. I don't.
So on 9/11, right after it happened, I was in my office, and FedEx delivered a package to me, and it was like 9:30, I think, or something. And after we had all found out the news, and I opened up the first package, and this postcard slipped out, and it was the Forbes crest, and the saying under the crest is "Grace me guide," and it was the same postcard that my great aunt, another great aunt, had had painted for me when I was really young. It was of our crest. And it really gave me a sense of peace, because I felt like, wow, my great grandmother, or my great grandmother Forbes had kind of sent this to me to calm me down. We just had 9/11, and then this postcard comes out, says "Grace Me Guide." And I think while I was working on it, I think it was a similar experience to have the Grace Me Guide there and to concentrate on it, because going through COVID, it just brought me back to that sense of, I'm going to get through it, it'll be all right. So that's why it's probably more like a shrine to her than a house per se.
Elizabeth, I gotta say that you have something else going on in your psyche. If you can call a buck into your yard, and your grandmother's picture can fall out onto the table at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
You need to pay attention to that.
I have to tell you, I am not associated with the Smithsonian at all, but there is a program, and I believe it's on probably on Monday night, maybe. Anyway, somebody's gonna, and I was a philosophy major, and actually Jung, believe it or not, though a psychologist, I studied, and there's a program at the Smithsonian, a lecture, Zoom obviously, on a book that Jung wrote, Synchronicity, an A-Causal Connecting Principle, which everything you said, Elizabeth, it triggers that for me. And it's Monday, and my husband and I are going to listen to it. He may get bored, but I'm dying to listen to it, because synchronicity is basically, if you think about an A-Causal Connecting Principle, you'll kind of get what it is, and you either believe in it or you don't. And I'm not in either camp at this point, but it's all coming up now, and there's something definitely to this. So if you're interested at all, go on the Smithsonian Associates website and sign up for the talk.
Thank you for the suggestion.
I'm going to do it.
Wow, okay.
Fascinated.
That is cool.
And Marcy, I definitely look forward to the class in Silver Spring and to Tuesday. And thank you for this. This is fabulous.
Okay, wait.
What do we have?
I just put mine in.
Oh, great.
Oh, good.
So these were, and some of these, it was interesting because I might start something in the day class and then finish it in the evening.
Oh.
So Kim and Alicia, if you're still there, they were there when I was like, okay, I think I like it now.
I love this one on the right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like both of them so much.
Wait, what am I seeing?
One on
I'm seeing
the right reminds me of like a cradle with a baby in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's dreamy almost.
Yeah.
Are these encaustics?
No, these are both of these are altered book pages in my altered book. And on the right, I started off with this like upholstery fabric, and I tried like making a print of it. So interested in the broken up pattern. And then I just kind of painted with it, and maybe I used some of the watercolor and acrylic, and then maybe some Caran-d'Ache or water soluble graphite, not sure. But I like the colors that were coming about on the right. And then
when you say on the right, you mean what I'm seeing is one large picture, and then on the left I'm seeing vertically some others.
I'm seeing on my left, I'm seeing the merry-go-round.
Yeah, but I see too on the left.
Yeah, on the left, it looks like the cups, the cutout. It says Tuesday. Do you see that too?
Yeah.
And that was an altered photo. And I guess I finished it. It was a Monday night. And the next day, Arts for the Aging was participating in that Giving Tuesday. So I used this piece because it was, and that Tuesday just showed up on the back of one of the postcards. So, but I liked that one on the left. It was one that I had started altering the photograph in the day class, cut out what was like the cup shapes, and maybe there were candles in the photograph, and then cut out like windows above, but made it so that there were shutters that you could open. So you could see through. I altered some other photos, pieced it together. And so that's on one page of the book. And the one on the right is another spread from another spread, the page on the right. But layers on the left and the cutting out. And I guess I've just recently done more cutting out. That's why I'm calling this next series Cut It Up or whatever, Cut It Out.
You know, this one on the right, it just reminds me of either Ghost or Mother Teresa, or, you know, some kind of blessing.
To me, it looks like underwater, and it's like if you're swimming underwater and you see that there's something at the bottom of the ocean, but you can't make it out just yet.
Oh, I said, to me, it just looks like kind of a praying figure or a blessing figure. I mean, I really see a figure in a robe there.
Okay. Huh.
I don't know. I mean, it's just what it evokes to me. I can't give you all the details, but it just looks really spiritual.
Well, I was kind of going with some of those shapes, and they sort of pillowed out kind of with the white, and liking that chalkiness with the background.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the text behind it, and I can't read all the words, but somebody breaks his pledge. It's so spiritual to me and just beautiful.
Thanks. I mainly was like interested in the colors, a little bit about the shapes, and just, I guess, the marks or what I was keeping more intact. I don't know.
The colors it's so interesting because I can see that blue color that's your favorite color, and then it kind of gets mottled and goes darker and lighter, but it's also soft.
It's funny. Earlier today, I was I have an interview coming up. The Yellow Barn is interviewing the faculty, the instructors, and Walt Bartman, the head of Yellow Barn, was asking me questions about color, and was like, I just lost it. I couldn't think of the colors, whatever. But anyway, that'll be. I'll share that with you whenever he shares it. Anyway, yeah, so that's what came about. But interesting, the day and the evening and the whole transformation. And thanking you guys for like, kind of, getting your feedback as I go.
Well, I just feel that it's an honor to work with all these fabulous people.
You guys are fabulous. Here's my house with the high steps.
Oh, where is it? It's off.
It's just
maybe I have it.
Oh, you don't see it?
No, I had 150 views, so that's why I wasn't seeing things. Yeah, it's fine now.
And then there's birds I just did recently on Mylar. And here's not everyone, but a lot of you guys. And some of you twice. Anyway, so that's
great. I can see you twice there.
Yeah, that's right. Maureen is here twice because she came in the evening class too, at times. When she could get a ride. Well, she was funny because Karen was going to come to the evening class, and Molly said, I am too. And then Molly said, I'll give you a ride. So anyway, all right. Well, and I'll send them the link so they'll hear everything. So that's that.
Now, when is your next tiny house class that's not, I'm going to try to join in on this night class, the class that you're going to send me information about. Okay. But I have not kept up, Marcy, with what your other classes are coming up. What other things are you teaching coming up?
I do have more drawing classes with mixed media. So I do have that late January. There's a Sunday that's 12 to 5, and then a Monday, like the 24th and the 25th, and people could sign up for 1 or 2, and then also late February. So that it's on my website. And then the other thing is the Smithsonian classes are starting on the 27th, and those, the daytime is again, like drawing, animals, nature, and collage, 8 sessions, 1:30 to 4. Evening is mixed media, 6:30 to 9, Smithsonian. But then I am doing a series, like I've been continuing doing series of 4 sessions of, like you've done before, mixed media. And I put the basic outline in with this link. A lot about cutting out other artists that I come across, just things to share. And let's see, and then like even like, was it Gail who was talking earlier asking about the books? You know, if there's something that people are interested in, you know, we do that. And so I like to hear what people like. But like I said, this Thursday next week is that series, just three classes, and that's free. So that's
All right. And I've been dying to do tiny houses, so
I'm going to send it to you.
Are
So
on my
Marcy, everybody's been talking about gel prints, and I've never ever done one. And maybe I don't know what class or whatever, but maybe I can just look it on YouTube. But I would like to figure out.
Yeah, so we do that one of the weeks, and one of the sessions, gel play prints, and also show people just if you have packaging, making prints, stamping. So yeah, do that also. And
so is that in the mixed media classes, you mean, or what? Okay.
Yeah, I think I have it in the outline, and because a lot of people already even have their own gel plates, and I can send the recipe to make one if you want to make one. Seems like that's something you might want to do, Elizabeth. I don't know. So, but then I was going to say,
can you use a regular photograph on a gel print, or does it, or not?
Oh, well, just like Alicia and Kim have been doing some of these things, you can use